YouTube, it's BigDubz. We're back for part 5. Trying to make it into a 4-part series, but explaining this stuff's a little bit more complicated sometimes. It takes a little bit of time. Right where I left off, we were talking about plants, and we had just kind of like started understanding about plants and the distributions. I believe that's one of the last things that I got to touch on, really. References I don't use hardly, and routes I don't use. And mud. We need to do mud. Um, so we'll do um, distributions are really help make this level looks like something, really, honestly. Oh, and I need to do models. I need to explain to y'all models. Honestly, let's do distributions last. Because I just like distributions to me are like filler. But I have my main, yeah, we'll go ahead and do distributions. Sorry. Let me fix this real quick so it's not so bad looking. There we go. Yeah, we'll talk about distribution. We'll do right around this pond. Distributions now are how you get plants on the map, basically. A large quantity of maps, or a large quantity of plants. So to do that, we just come down and we hit add distribution. And that's going to give you a empty distribution. Okay. The first thing you got to do is you got to name the distribution, and it will open up a dialog box, and it will open it into your media, your common Mudrunner editor media pre-build folder and level folder. So this is the height map of your level. These are all the files of your level. These are the water that we have, where we have the water, the tinting, the water in the mud, our material, and our new material that we have. This is our base material. You'll always have material base, but if you rename this new material, it'll actually rename the second material over here. It's not going to let me click on it because it wants a name real quick. So, and to name these, they are DSTRB, I think. Crap. Let me look. One of these other ones. Nope. DSTR. Sorry. So, terrain. STR. Underscore the name of it, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call this pond because it's going around our pond. Underscore, dot TGA. You always got to do dot TGA. Otherwise, it's not going to know what in the world your distribution is. So, and basically that gives me the brush feature then after I've created that distribution. And then here is some options, basically. I just pressed on the edit, and the edit is basically what all plants do I want to carry over into that distribution. So like for this, I want some stumps, I want some small rocks, I want grass as long, I want some messy grass, I'll take some ferns, definitely want some canes. I'm doing pine levels, so I'll do pines, small, do some small, we'll do small trees, that's fine. Small twigs, yeah, sure. These are actually a different, these last two are US trees. They're pine trees, by the way. So, birch is long. I don't care about none of that. Degrees. No. I'll throw in some herbs. Okay. Alright, I picked all the plants that I want. And it's just like anything else on the game. You have a paintbrush. To the right is more dense. To the left is non-dense. So I want the density as max as possible. Honestly, I always turn it up on any distribution I'm doing. And I want to kind of be liberal with this. So I want it to kind of be like a big swath of it around the pond. So try to add, and then don't drive or paint over your road, because it will paint trees through the middle of your road. So always try to mesh your roads and kind of see them. Overlays are not so much easier to see, but this is basically distributions. Anywhere that I paint yellow is where the distribution is going, basically. And you'll see what I mean here in a minute. Just going to paint all this, because this is what really tones your level out. I feel like kind of really adds in, besides models. Like models is the second biggest thing. But I wouldn't think a map would be a map without a distribution, honestly. So, and I'm kind of satisfied with this, going down this creek and or river and pond here. I'm going to add a little bit in here because I know it won't go into the water as much as you think. So anywhere that it's low-lying water, it'll actually put it in, but deep water, it will not put that in there, that distribution. So when I click off of this, it's going to load in plants for me, and voila. You kind of get your scenery. You know, this is basically the scenery. And it is not as thick as I want it to be right now, but that is because I haven't reloaded the train. This will get thicker when I reload the train real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and reload train. And you can see that it's starting to take a little bit more time. I'm going to get the not responding. It is responding still, by the way, so just give it a second. It'll load itself. And it kind of turns up the density of the trees and really gives you what kind of features the map's going to look like, really. By reloading the train. And I just hit save. And so basically this is going to give me the look that I'm looking for. So that's distributions. When you want to add another distribution, we'll do one here in a minute at the end of the game. That'll fill in all the other stuff. But I need to cover mud real quick as well. So this is a good spot for some mud. Mud's the same way. It works in two different, kind of works two different ways. One, you know, you could slide the slider, and it's the value of the mud depth and how much mud it puts down. This is the brush stroke size as usual, and you know, auto fade is auto fade, like I talked about earlier. But the big difference between mud is automatic and extrudables. Automatic mud literally changes the ground structure and like takes away distributions and everything else. Automatic is a little bit more tough way to deal with mud, but it's my personal way of doing mud. I don't like extrudables because it takes more work for me to hide it, basically. And I'll show you what I mean real quick by that. So good mud depth usually is about 7 on a tire. That's about half rim. Now on these little UAZs, that's going to be horrible. Like if you try to drive a UAZ over here, it's going to be rough. But if you try to drive anybody's modded truck, which most people are after, so this is usually pretty decent mud depth. And modded trucks can handle all the way up to 1 in depth. It just makes really, really sticky mud, and you're more than likely going to have to winch out of it. So I typically stay in a 7.2 area. And then brush size is brush size, so, you know, try to stick with a normal brush size that fits the road. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add mud right here. And you can see that it comes on quickly. And those little white dots on automatic and extrudable is how deep that mud is. So it's more deeper in the middle. It's less deeper on the edges out here. You can see that this is just a single dot. It's kind of like pointing down, and then this one is super deep. So the more I hold in the right mouse button, the deeper this will get. So just keep that in mind. But it'll also, I just kind of click out here to kind of sprinkle mud around. But it's going to take away these distribution plants. So that's why I'm going to kind of show you this. And it's also going to change the texture of this road and how everything looks when you do automatic. See there? It moved the trees around and it loaded them under the water, but it also changes the ground structure, like the way the ground looks. If you just lay mud out in the middle of a trail, it is going to look unnatural. But if you have mud where water sits together in automatic mode, it looks pretty decent, I feel like. And it blends really well the ground. So anytime I have water, I add mud, usually. So like if I'm going to do mud in the middle of this trail over here, I would first go and make this kind of shallower, right? And then I would throw in my mud, about 7. Now let's make it sticky. 4.9. So throw all our mud in here. See, this looks weird. You can't just have like mud like this. And it just looks so weird to do this. So what I would have to do is I would typically add a river here. I'd add just a small river. And I just always kind of remember that 0 is the same way that I want it to flow. So I want it to go across this way. And you would just kind of throw that in there. See? And that kind of creates this nice little mud hole. And then I would obviously change the color. I don't know. I turned it to brown. So it looks like a mud hole. And I'd also kind of maybe blend this out a bit and I'd drop the depth just a hair. There we go. And then I would maybe take my mud, make sure I got my corners. There we go. See there? And you can tell that this road has got a little more work that needs to be done, but it starts to look good up in here. So, but I wanted to show you a little bit about mud. And then also you have another version which is called extrudables on mud. Oh, mud. Extrudables is a little bit different. Extrudables is basically it uses the ground below it as mud. There's mud there now. You can't see it, but if you're driving this in game, you're just gonna the ground's gonna start turning into mud. So what you would have to do here is you would need to tint your ground or add rocks in or add some kind of water here or dress this up so that mud doesn't just you're just driving along and you just fall into mud all of a sudden. Otherwise it'll be super hidden right here. So that's the difference between extrudables and automatic mud. I use automatic mud because it's a good clear way to tell, and I can hide it and kind of blend the mud. But oh yes, finally. There's also something else here that I want to point out, and I'm glad it finally did this. Right here is what I call a rip in the game. And what has happened here is this terrain block has been ripped. And it's not lining up. Like, if I save this game right now, save this, it's always going to have this rip in it. And if I upload this map to Steam, you're going to see these rips online when you're playing your map. And this is because what I have not done is I have not reloaded the terrain after I've made all these changes. Adding this mud, lowering the land, adding, you know, this geometry, I mean not geometry, but this mud in over here has kind of messed up the terrain in this area here. And you can see these rips. These rips are something that you don't want. You can also see a rip whenever I do a super sharp hill. You'll have a rip as well up here. And it also creates this really huge cliff face and like a weird flat area. I use these sometimes to my advantage, but we'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, back to the rip. To fix the rip, you're just going to do rebuild terrain. And once I rebuild the terrain and I save my map, it will see all the rips are gone. I save my map. This is how you want to upload your map. Never want to upload it with rips. Okay? Never upload with rips. You always want to rebuild terrain. You always want to... And see, look, it took away this distribution too. See there, I had a distribution there. And I told you, like, mud does these weird things to distributions. See how it's like taking it away, but while ago it was showing on my side, it was all these trees and everything. So, and then about plants, this is where I add plants. You see how I don't like this? This is like really sparse here. So this is where I would add plants in. And this is how I'd fix all my little areas here. Like this. So this would fix. And I want to be able to see through there. So all these little gaps right here. This is how I'd fix those gaps on that distribution. And you can see that when I add these two, it also messes with your distribution. See there. Rebuild terrain. And I always rebuild my terrain. Constantly rebuilding my terrain on all my maps. And then this is what I was talking about, where the distribution can overlap on your roads. To fix that, you got to jump back over into your distribution. You can see where I went over top of it. I'm just gonna get rid of it just by doing that. See there? Cool. The only other thing really I can talk about is before this last distribution, I guess, is the last bit of model adding, because it really makes the map just over the top, and that is adding custom models. And you can see I got a couple of options here, but we're going to go with this rock. This rock is huge. This is something I'll talk about in modeling. I made it that way specifically, but it was done that way so that I could And you can see whenever I drop a model in, I can position it and rotate it. I can hide it under the ground. I can move it around. I can duplicate it a ton of times. Um, and that's what you're going to want to do with these rock model things. You can find rock models. Nix has got a few out there. I have a few. Models are just floating around. You'll have to kind of search for your models. But the game comes with some base models you can use as well. But this is how I do my rocks, by the way, too. I just duplicate the rock over and over again, and I resize it, and I reposition it. I might turn it, to get another surface out of it. Like I like that surface there, and I just try to create like a real rock structure, basically. And I'll try to duplicate these again, rotate it around, pick it up out of the water, move it over there. That, something like that. Do this one this way. Yeah, like that one there. And then shrink it. I can move it up. Down some more. Duplicate it. And like I said, you just keep on basically duplicating the rock over and over again. You can use different model rock to make a different structure. I don't know, to each his own. How you want to do it, but this is how I make my stuff. My rock structures, basically. I usually use a single rock to make a big rock, because I found that looks the most natural, basically. So, and I'll just continue just adding these in. This is where your time gets consumed, honestly. So, I'm kind of satisfied with that. Looks like a pretty cool rock structure. Then I would just like over here to make like a rock crawl. Duplicate that bad boy. Put it over there. Just delete. Sorry about that, guys. Let's add it over here. And model. I was using rock. Oh, words of advice, don't use their logs to make a log in the middle of the road, too, by the way. Their log is specially designed to be a game piece. So if you try to use their log as something to use as like a log in the middle of the path, it does not work, by the way. So don't attempt to do that. I tried to make a whole structure out of their logs before, and it did not work out for me. So you can look at my first map that I made and see that. But this is like a little steep rock section here that I would make, to kind of climb up. But this is how I make them. And duplicate that one. Duplicate this. Now just basically keep on just duplicating that rock over and over again, making these structures out of them. You know, maybe make your tire come up over there. Maybe that one like way low. Okay, probably need a little bit more lip. Like I said, you just kind of duplicate these out. You know, you can make a whole rock wall over here, honestly, with them. And you can see how they are. They're like way up underneath the ground. Like I'm only just using like a tenth of the whole rock itself. You know, they're all over the place. So don't be afraid to hide the rock and use the rock like that. So, but that's adding models. I think really all you're left is adding the main distribution, honestly, to fill in everything. I think I covered just about everything really there is to it. There's some more things, you know, I'm probably missing, but we're just going to add another distribution real quick when my time runs out. So I got the pond. I usually just click on one of those, or you can start using this, and then you can come back and do this. Forest is what I usually do, like it's like my main deal. And I don't know, we're gonna do firs, grass, lawn. I don't want grass lawn. That's how you get them back. By the way, you just click on it on the other side. Grass messy, grass short, ground leaves, herbs, pines, small trees. That one and that one. Sure, I got everything. Small twigs, sure, why not? I'll try to add in a bunch of stuff as I can. Not getting too crazy out of it. So, and then maximize. And I'm going to turn this up pretty big because basically I'm going to just start painting in all the areas that I want to cover on the map. Real quick. Trying to get this pretty close for y'all can see what this will be like. Yep. I'm hitting some bad spots that I don't want. Obviously you want to miss all your roads. You know, I'm not doing my due diligence test map, so I'm just going to delete these files anyway. So I don't know, I'll maybe post this. Who knows? I can finish it out. Maybe it's a couple of series or something. But yeah, we're just going to basically just cover all this land here. And trees is what I'm doing. And you can see the density has turned out really extreme, so should be able to cover all this. The trees. Like I said, should have probably done a better job of not hitting these trails, but oh well. Yeah, that trail's gonna get coated, whatever. Fix it later. And then you can always just come back and like knock out the distribution where you don't want it at. So that is another deal as well to do. Whatever. I'm gonna get on it. I'm probably not really close enough to that road, but oh well. Okay. Oh, a little area in here. I missed. Maybe that too. And there. And there. And there. think I got it all well enough. Oh well. Okay. So when I click off this, literally, it's going to put trees all over the map. So I'm going to give it time to think. So it's got a lot to do. There it goes. So I had to think about that. But basically that added trees all over the map. So, yeah, you can come back in here and do these little smaller areas too. You could probably really get some good detail in here. Kind of trim this up, help make this look like a big rock face. See? There you go. Same thing with here. So, fill that in. But anyway, rebuild terrain. It's probably going to freeze on me. Oh. Yeah, there it goes. Like I said, that's normal for the game, the editor. To do that, don't freak out. Just let your PC think. It'll eventually come back on again. So, and save those files. So, and that's basically, distributions there. It really adds to the map. Any of the areas that I didn't add a distribution, you can obviously tell, like, it's just going to be plain old grass when you get out there to it. So, but we'll kind of come back and do touch-ups real quick on this last video. I'm going to go ahead and pause it right here for us, stop us out, and we'll do touch-ups, and we will do copying the files to produce it into mods, and I will pick up on custom modeling after that. So go ahead and stop this video now, and we'll talk to y'all later.